like I wanted to just do something that I didn't actually know that I could do.
Yeah.
I've rode 200 miles. Like I know I can ride 200 miles. I've done gravel events. I've rode my bike.
Yeah.
Like I've done hard things like my whole life. But 360 miles, like I don't know if I could do that. I feel like every time we get that call, I don't want to say we're overconfident, but when you put in so much time and effort into your craft, you can't help but feel that way.
Yeah.
And so when you get that call, like, hey, you want to fight so-and-so? It's like, yeah, like you're instant, like, yeah, dude, I'm going to fuck that guy up. Like, I can't wait. If you would have asked me, how did I get here, a year ago, I'd be like, I just took a fight, one thing led to another. When really that's not like what happened. Like I, went to jail, like I got arrested, a year of probation and like community service and the whole thing. And a bunch of my friends were falling victim to drugs. A lot of my best friends, I'd say the majority of them, like, are dead. And so part of me at that age already knew that I didn't want to like continue down that. You do your pro practice, and it's like at the time, all the guys that you inspire to be like, I mean, it was Joseph Benavidez, TJ Dillashaw had won the Ultimate Fighter or runner up, Uriah, Danny Castile. There's just so many guys when I was going over there. I mean,
was Josh there yet?
Josh Emmett was there. First day, broke his hand on my head.
Oh, no, are you serious?
I have a brain disease called Moyamoya. Moyamoya is where the blood vessels in your brain begin to narrow over time until they're completely occluded and closed. He was looking at this imaging from the scan, and he's like, I don't even know if you have much time left, you know what I mean, without saying it. Like, I don't even want to scare you too much. Your body's compensating, don't know why or don't know how, and I don't know for how long. So I was like, sick, am I fighting tomorrow or what?
Oh, my goodness.
And he's like, no, man, I can't clear you.
All right, man. Legacy Lounge. Sometimes people want to talk.
We have incredible guests here.
What's up, brother?
The definition of the Legacy Lounge is the stuff that he's putting together. He's a great community leader. His story is amazing.
Episode 53. Vince Murdock, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you.
We got a dog in the house today, man. We got a beast in the house.
I mean, don't even know where to start. I call myself a cyclist, nowhere near on your level. You just got done doing, we can talk about this, but this is like so hard for me to wrap my mind around. But you just got done doing, is it XL?
Unbound XL.
Unbound XL. That takes place in Kansas?
Yep.
Okay. I know Aaron Marchand. So was he out there with you?
Yeah, I think he did the 100 this year.
Okay.
Not for lack of fitness or anything. He just hasn't been riding as much. But yeah, he came in. It's a pretty cool event.
So was this your second time doing it?
Yeah, I did 2 years in a row.
Okay. The one that you just did compared to the last one, how did they stack next to each other?
Well, I don't know if I'd consider myself a cyclist. At least I don't really start with that. So, but they were both unique. One, I took on. I had a fight that canceled in the month of May, which happens to be like Moyamoya awareness, which is what I was kind of, putting all the eggs in my basket for promoting for my fight. My opponent fell through, and I've been riding a lot. I mean, obviously. And, I had heard about this race, but didn't pay really much attention to it with the fight coming up. And this was last year. And so as soon as that canceled, I just reached out to him and was like, hey, I need to throw all this fitness. I've been training for a fight for like 8 weeks. Like, I ride my bike a bunch. Could I sign up? And yeah, they let me in. And, I was very underprepared, but at the very same time, I think that's what helped me. It's like you don't know what you don't know, and it's probably better to not know too much when you're out there. And I think just not that other people don't have it, but my mentality of just like always like keep going forward. Surely there's plenty of opportunities that I probably should have just called it a day, last year, but I don't know. I just don't really have that in me in terms of like, I don't know. I just like to suffer in that term or, just kind of, fight it out. That's really what drives me to the sport of cycling to begin with, is just like that time with yourself where you can kind of really analyze, you know, everything that's going on in your life, the good, the bad, things that you don't even think about. You're going over your, you know, problems from first grade and like and up, and like just you really get to dissect a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so when you're out there, you're just like, you know, having your talks with God and Jesus and just telling them, you know, that today's the day, take me or no, you know, and there's just so many of those moments. I mean, last year it took me 27 hours to complete it. So it's like there were so many highs and lows and highs and lows, and it's like a Red Bull. Like 1 second you're just like, "Rah," and then next second you're just like, fuck. And you know, I feel like right now, like what I do is live for experiences like that. I feel like that's as close as you can get to, you know, dying in terms of like physically putting yourself through something that's so physically demanding, where like you're running out of food, you're running out of water, and you're just pure exhaustion. You've been operating for over 20 hours, right? So like, but you can't quit. So that's what like really draws it to me. Is like, who are you when all these meters are empty? Like you got to keep going. You got to find whatever it is somewhere in you to continue to go forward. And it's not as simple as people think. Like, oh, you just eat and drink. Like it just doesn't work that way. Your body stops responding to fluids. It stops responding to food. And yeah, picking yourself up and like repairing yourself in situations like that is really like what I love about cycling right now. And just in general, it's so self-exploratory. It's really found a way to slow things down for me. You know, prior to that, I was fighting constantly. You know, my whole life is just fight. And then this, I can really just like, I'm out there for 24 hours. I can just slow down the last 30 years of my life and just been like, fuck, I can just die slowly. And yeah, I mean the difference is this year was like 4 hours faster, which was sick.
That is.
Yeah, you know, the goal, we were, not that too many people know what it means, but we were on track to probably do 22 hours. And I really kind of fell apart, believe it or not, like the last 60 to 70 miles, like 290s, when I really kind of started to hurt. Not in terms of like throwing in a towel, just like I couldn't find the legs that I needed to continue to at a speed that was familiar with me. I knew I was gonna be able to crawl it to the finish line, but we ended up finishing sub 24 hours, which is, you know, kind of like my benchmark, like last goal. Like I was like, hey, if we do it under 24, like I'll be stoked. Which 360 miles, you know, for that is, you know, I'm really happy to do that. And I think the difference this year is I was just so much more prepared, you know, in terms of like really knew what I was getting myself into. And whereas like last year I blew myself up within 100 miles. And like
The first 100.
yeah, and like crawled myself all the way to the finish line.
Unbelievable, because we're dealing. You're dealing with like you guys are climbing. I mean, that's a huge.
I think we got 21,000 feet. So yeah.
I can't even wrap my mind around that.
It's like 7,000 or 8,000 feet shy of Mount Everest, like climbing Mount Everest. So
Goodness.
yeah, it was yeah, man. It's, I mean, part of me is always looking for some sort of event similar to that. Like that's kind of the bigger one to really like show me like, you know, what are you made of, or you know. And that's what really drew me to it last year, was like I wanted to just do something that I didn't actually know that I could do.
Yeah.
I've rode 200 miles. Like I know I can ride 200 miles. I've done gravel events. I've rode my bike.
Yeah.
Like I've done hard things like my whole life. But 360 miles, like I don't know if I could do that. Like
That's wild.
That's so
it's
good.
just, yeah, it was bonkers to me at the time, and I was like, people do this? Well, fuck, I can do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but and then that was really, I really said that to myself. And I said that to my friends, and to be honest, none of them really said too much to me, but they didn't say anything super positive. So it's like they didn't really. Part of me thinks that they didn't think I could do it.
Really?
But they wouldn't say that, you know? They just were like, dude, do you know what 360 miles feel like? No, I don't. But like, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's what drove me to it so much, was like, I want to know, you know? And we're going to find out.
Inspiring.
Would you this? I don't even know if you can answer this, but would you say your hardest ever mixed martial arts fight compared to that race? What would you say would be harder?
Man, they're different and similar in so many ways. You know, fighting's kind of one of those things. It's a reflection of like the effort that you give it, right? That's kind of what I like about both of them. You get in what you put in, so you get it give and take or whatever. You know, I don't know. There's I think it's just tough because I'm at a different point in my life, whereas like fighting at one point in time really used to check that box for me in terms of like me versus you. You know, we just spent the last 8 months or 6 months or 8 weeks in a gym. It's like you bring your product to stage and it's like you have it out. And like that's kind of like, you know, what did it for me, you know? Whereas like cycling is kind of like an ongoing thing all the time. It's more of like with just yourself, you know what I mean? Kind of testing your own limits and boundaries. And so it's hard to say which one's like harder. They both have their you know, unique traits in terms of like someone's trying to physically hurt you, which is great, you know, because like that's part of like the competitiveness of like, you know, I don't know. I guess you could compare it to like chess. You know what I mean? It's like just without, you know, the physical contact.
Yeah.
But it really is kind of like that. It's like your skill versus someone else's skill, and there's emotions involved. There's skill involved. There's chance involved. A little bit of luck, you know. And then you know, cardio's involved. There's all these things. Whereas in like cycling is more like I feel like will. You know what I mean? And just in both, it's really hard to say which one's harder. I mean,
They're both extremely hard.
yeah, they're both extremely hard. I don't want to say like cycling's harder than fighting. It's simply not. You know what I mean? You bring in any of those cyclists into my world, and none of them. I don't think the majority,
Of course,
in my
not.
opinion, a lot of them haven't dealt with that kind of adversity of like push come to shove and someone's in your face and like how to handle like combat. It's just a different style of intense. Like,
I mean, for the record, if somebody was asked me if I would rather fight 3 rounds in a cage versus, I'm gonna say, attempt to ride 360 miles, I know which one I'm picking, and it's gonna be a fast decision.
yeah,
I'm picking the 360.
yeah.
I mean, both are gonna suck, but like you got to be like you're just a different breed.
Yeah, you talk to a fighter, and honestly, like, they'll probably say fighting sounds like it's easier. It's like if they're that confident, you know what I mean? They put in that much time. They're like, dude, I'll fucking, you know. To be honest, most of us feel that way. We feel like every time we get that call, it's like, I don't want to say we're overconfident, but when you put in so much time and effort into your craft, you can't help but feel that way.
Yeah.
And so when you get that call, like, hey, you want to fight so-and-so, it's like, yeah, like you're instant, like, yeah, dude, I'm going to fuck that guy up. Like, I can't wait. Like, send the contract, yada, yada, yada. Like, you're just super stoked on it. And you tell a fighter, like, hey, 360 miles or a fight, you know, he's probably going to be like, well, who's the opponent? Okay, yeah, I'll fucking fight. Like, I'm going to fuck this guy up. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just a little different. I think, again, like, it's just because of the part of, like, the place I'm at in my life right now.
Yep.
I've done the fight thing, you know, since I was 18 years old.
How old are you now?
33.
Okay, cool. So yeah, walk us through that. I mean, so you're originally not from Sacramento, you're from Michigan, is that correct? So is that where fighting started for you? Was out in Michigan?
Yeah, man. Like I said, you know, it's weird because it kind of took me to get to this place to really slow down and like reevaluate and look at my life and like, how did I even get here? And I haven't really ever done that until like the last like maybe 6 months to a year, where I've really like kind of figured out how I got here. And yeah, no, I wrestled in high school. I don't want to say I was super into it. It was definitely something that I did to kind of help get me out of trouble. I was in a lot of trouble as a kid. My childhood or, my homes were very chaotic. My parents were divorced, and they lived in, they weren't neighbors, different towns. One lived in the Flint metro and the other one lived in the Detroit metro. So it was like an hour-ish drive. And,
Wow.
they were both, you know, parents, like, they got their own struggles that they're going through and stuff too. Kind of made it for a chaotic, upbringing. So I was transferring schools all the time. I had 3 MIPs, which are minor in possessions, and so I lost a year of eligibility. I was fighting all the time. I had a chip on my shoulder. These are just things that I've just now started to like really recognize. Whereas like if you would have asked me how did I get here, a year ago, I'd be like, I just took a fight, one thing led to another. When really that's not like what happened. Like I, went to jail, like I got arrested. I had, a year of probation and like community service and the whole thing. And, a bunch of my friends were, falling victim to drugs. A lot of my best friends, I'd say the majority of them, like, are dead, And so, part of me at that age already knew that I didn't want to like continue down that, and I'd already felt like I'd partied so hard since by the time I was 18 that I was already kind of looking like a way out from it. I just was. And after I lost my final year of eligibility of like all sports my senior year, like you would have thought that would have been like the catalyst to go down even further down like a worse path, but it was like the opposite. I reached out to a couple guys that had wrestled a year before me. They had already tried the MMA thing, which was gaining in popularity. This was 2009 at the time. And then, so it was gaining popularity. Michigan MMA was illegal, so there wasn't any sanctioned professional fighting. It wasn't even a thing. But Chuck Liddell was on TV, and so Uriah Faber. So like I still saw all that, but like we didn't know any professionals that come out of Michigan. I mean Dan Severn, but that was from like 92, 93, like well before there was anything like as a professional level sport. But anyway, I got a hold of one of my buddies. His name was Andy Garcia. And we showed up to this gym, and I just didn't have anything else to do, I guess, because I just kept showing up. And within, like, I swear it was, like, less than a month, they're like, hey, do you want to fight on this card? And even if I didn't want to, I convinced myself that I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just like, yeah, dude, of course I'm going to fight. Like, who the fuck?
And how old were you?
18. I was still
You're
in high school.
18.
Yeah.
Man.
Still in high school.
Yeah. So it was cool because we got to fight at bars, like not in the bars, but these venues were set up at bars at the time, right? They're unsanctioned MMA fights, so you find like a venue, which would be like a sports bar, and they put the cage in like wherever the dance floor. I'd get kicked out of the bar right after the fight was over, but
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is like some black market shit.
Crazy.
Oh,
I
dude,
love
for
it.
sure. So I mean, I fought in like like fairgrounds with like dirt floors, and then you like walk to the cage, and you're just like, hope you didn't step on a rock on your way in there, and like just all sorts of shit. But
Damn.
yeah, I remember he's like, hey, the promoter was like, do you want to fight this whoever? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, the fuck else am I gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm already here. And just one, like, that was just kind of the start. And then I was like, let's do another one. And then it's so weird. Like, my first fight was this like bar room. I mean, it was like a legit cage. Everything was legit, but I mean, it was pretty like, it was just at a bar. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to say, you guys are familiar with like, I don't know, the Zebra Club or
Oh, yeah.
Just imagine if it were just bigger, but that kind of level of a bar.
Oh,
That's basically
man.
where I
So great
fought.
that you.
And, first place Uriah ever took me when I moved here.
Great,
The
dude.
I have all
Zebra.
the spots.
Welcome to Sacramento.
But I like 2 months later, I got a phone call like within there was like I don't. Oh yeah, so it was like they were supposed to be the first pro show in Michigan, right? And it was going to be the first like whatever, but it got canceled because the commission didn't approve it the day of the fights. So like there's still no pro fighting. So they called me up. They're like, "Hey, we're trying to save this show. Do you want to fight?" And so since it's a pro show, it's at the Palace of Auburn Hills, which is like where the Pistons play.
Yes.
So I just went from this bar, like that was just like, I mean, it was a wild experience. I can't remember who came, but my friends, I remember they like me and my friends like stood in the back and we're all in high school. We were just like, what the fuck?
Damn.
And then next thing you know, I'm fighting at the, where the Pistons play, and there's like flames shooting up when I'm walking into the cage. And like, it was just bizarre. It's like, what the fuck? I could do this forever. And this is sick, and then I won that fight. And that's just kind of how it started. Like, I just, still, even then, I had no desire to do it as a career. I mean, I think I was working at a lumber yard. I was a high-low driver. I was building like loads for houses to be built and stuff. That was kind of like what I was doing at the time. And then just one thing, like I kept fighting, taking another fight. It was like 18-3-1 as an amateur, which is like a way too many fights.
That's
as an
a
amateur.
lot of amateur.
Stupid level amount of fights. And like honestly, most of them were professional quality fights. Like,
Man.
they were with other top competitors in the state at the time. And there was just no pro fighting, so none of us ever really turned pro. Like, what do we do?
So that explains the high.
Yeah, and then I mean, we didn't like so in California you have it's sanctioned. There's the company or the place is called CAMO, California Athletic whatever Amateur MMA organization. That's probably what it is. CAMO. Anyway, but they make you wear shin guards and all these other things. We wore the same stuff that they wear in the UFC, which was just like 4-ounce gloves and a mouthpiece. And we fought. And I fought out at the side of my weight class, like probably almost every fight. I fought a dude at 200 pounds. I remember I showed up to this fight in Traverse City. This guy is actually passed away. But we got there. We're like, oh, you don't have an opponent yet? We were like, yeah. What do you mean? He's like, you want to fight this guy? And I look at him. He's like 200 pounds. He's huge. You can look it up.
Wait, so they don't have to make weight?
Well, I mean, not for this.
Not for that.
But typically, yes. Yeah.
What were you
yes.
at approximately?
I was like 160 pounds back then.
Oh my God.
Just walking around without cutting anything. Maybe 155-ish.
Yeah.
But like right in there. And then this guy, he was like easily 200 pounds. I'm blanking on his name, but it's on there on YouTube. You can find that. And I was like, fuck it, yeah, I'll fight it. Like, whatever. I'm here. I just drove to Traverse City. It's like 3 hours, like north, way up north. Fucking. Yeah. And this is on Indian reservation, so it's even more free, full. And so, man, it was such a wild fight. I took my buddy that we wrestled in high school together, and I didn't, you need a corner, and I was like, who the fuck's even gonna go with me? And I hit him up. I was like, do you want to corner me for this fight? And he's like, yeah, sure, dude. And we just went out there, and I was like, who do you think we're fighting? And I never even saw the guy. And so it's just, we like look over, and it's like this big old dude, shaved head, and he's just like hitting the mitts as hard as he can. And my buddy looked at me. He's like, you're gonna do great. And I was just like, I wasn't too worried because like it almost looked like he was trying too hard to intimidate me, whereas like I didn't really fucking care. Joe Carson, I think is his name. Man. Yeah, look that up.
Well, and like, I mean,
man,
I knocked him out like fucking 3 times. I threw an overhand, slapped him. He was like asleep in the air, and then he would hit the mat and like pop back up. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what the fuck, man? Just stay down. Like, I don't think I can fucking hit you anymore. And I mean, I watch it back, and it's like comical to watch. I remember like the end of the round, I was on top of him, and his feet like came up and like poked me in the eye. I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't even know if my eye's in there right now. But like, I definitely won this fight, and that was like all I thought about, and like waiting for my vision to return. It was at the end of the round, so it wasn't a big deal.
God.
And I remember, like, I was more worried about just running out of gas than I was actually having to fight this guy. He was fucking huge, by the way. I mean,
Man.
massive, like way bigger. You'll see. You'll look the
Oh.
fight up. And so, yeah, I ended up winning that fight, and it's like just one thing snowballed into another to the point where like I was, trying to fight more, and I was running out of people to fight. And
Dang.
so eventually MMA did become legal in Michigan. And I just remember asking my coach, his name is Darren Cruikshank at the time. I was like, "Do you think I could, take a pro fight?" And if he just knew the way he talks, he's from Michigan. He'd be like, "Fuck yeah, man, you can do it." And I was just like, "It's pretty good imitation once you hear the guy." But he was on the Ultimate Fighter season 15. Of Uriah was the coach, which is like
Yeah? Oh,
how I
no
got the
way.
connection.
Oh, wow.
He invited Darren out to Sacramento to try out the gym. And so we had went to visit in like 2011. And during this time, I had scheduled that pro fight, I think, so we were getting ready for it. And I remember I got out here and I'm training and like, MMA in Michigan, and at the time was very, very wild, wild west. Like there was, like if you wanted hands, you had to go to a boxing gym. If you wanted taekwondo, you had to go to a taekwondo place. If you wanted to do jiu-jitsu, you had to find a jiu-jitsu studio. There was like nobody doing what Team Alpha Male was already doing. And like nobody's 5'5" and 135, 145 pounds. Like there is, but like not all in one place. Like Team Alpha Male had, and so like I was always just training with people that were far outside of our weight class all the time, like on a daily. And and we were just gym hopping, not because we wanted to, but just because like really MMA
had to.
facilities didn't really exist at the caliber that you were looking for. So not that I even noticed that, but I noticed it when I came out here.
Yeah.
And Uriah had built this utopia of a facility for MMA, and I was training we were training. You do your pro practice, and it's like at the time, all the guys that you inspire to be like. I mean, it was Joseph Benavidez, TJ Dillashaw had won the Ultimate Fighter or runner up. Who else? I mean, Uriah, Danny Castile. There's just so many guys when I was going over there. I mean,
Was Josh there yet?
Josh Emmett was there. First day, broke his hand on my head.
No, are you serious?
And Josh was like, he might still have been an amateur, had like one pro fight. And I remember I felt terrible. I was like so durable back then. And I remember like he punched me square in the forehead. And I remember as his hand was like leaving, he like was in so much pain. I was like, fuck, I feel terrible. Like pulled his glove off immediately, and I'm just like, I just got punched in the head, and your hand hurts. What the fuck, man? This is wild.
And this
But I
is
remember-
just sparring?
Yeah, and then I probably didn't see Josh for a year just because of that injury. Yeah,
That is wild.
yeah, because this was I remember when this happened, like right on my fucking head. But he did punch me in like the crown of the head, which is like the hardest part of your like, head. Like if he would have punched me in the face, it probably would have been okay. But that guy can crack, and like he probably broke his own hand because he's too damn strong.
Yeah.
Jeez,
That is crazy.
Yeah. And so anyway, all these people, all this is going on.
Yeah.
Clay Guida is coming. Like all these guys are all training, and I'm just like everyone is where like this where it's just cool, man. And I was just like, these are all. I watch you guys like this is. I was 20 years. Chad Mendes was my favorite fighter.
Beast.
And like he would talk to me. I was like, "Are we friends? I don't even know. This is bizarre to me." Like he's like, "Hey," like he invited me over. We're having cookouts and just whatever. We're shooting turkeys off a golf cart and Canavera golf cart in Lincoln. Like just crazy stuff like that all the time. And I remember looking at Faber and I was like, "Man, this is so cool. Like you guys do this every day. We'd train. We'd go get lunch at Crepeville." Which is because we were downtown on J Street. So we'd train, Crepeville, come back, train some more, do something else, come back, do jiu-jitsu at 6 p.m. That's like one day. And I was just like, man, what else could I possibly want to do?
That's incredible.
Maybe find a girlfriend, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this is sick. And I remember I just looked at him like, you do this every day? And I remember the only thing he said to me is like, and you can too. And like, that's always stood out to me.
Dope.
I was like, what do you mean? And he moved me out here. He found me a place to live, gave me a job, and I never went home. I didn't even like move out here. I just like kept telling everyone, I was like, I'm gonna be out here for 3 months and I'll come back. Okay, 6 months, I'll come back. Okay, till this fight. After this fight, I'll come back. I had a girlfriend that I was, we were together for like 5 years, a high school sweetheart, a whole thing. Probably her fault I didn't get as far as my career. But no, she's a good girl. But yeah, so I that was everything. I remember that was what stood out the most, was like I had no idea a life like that was even possible. Coming from Michigan, like, 3 of my best friends OD'd. I was personally just getting over a lot of stuff with myself and the law, the trouble.
Yep.
My dad was in prison often, more than once, all the time, actually. He just got out again, actually. So if you see this, Dad, well, glad you're out. Yeah, and I probably lived on my own since I was like 16. And so, like, just to me, it just felt like I just was running from something, but at the same time, like, going towards something.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where I'm seeing that now, where I feel like I was like just getting away from all these problems, but like didn't even know I was doing it. At the time, I just felt like I was going towards something.
Yeah.
And so my first pro fight, I had signed it up in Michigan for it, and kicked the guy in the head in 9 seconds, won the fight, and I was like, well, fuck, man, I gotta do one more, you know what I mean? So I was like, I'll do another one. And then in the same situation, as like my first like amateur fight was like at not a shithole, but it was at a bar.
Yeah.
And then my second one was like Palace of Auburn Hills, Pistons, massive arena. I mean, bigger than the Golden State. Or,
Golden One.
Bigger than Golden One. That's my second fight. Same thing with my pro debut. I had a big pro debut was at the Palace of Auburn Hills again. But my second fight was for Bellator.
Oh,
and
no
way. Which at the time there's only 2 MMA promotions in the world, which is like the UFC and Bellator. Like Bellator is the largest MMA promotion.
Oh yeah.
At the time, and I was like, this is bizarre. So I go and do that whole experience, and I was like, dude, I've already made it, dude. Like, this is wild. Let's go.
Where was the Bellator fight at?
In Maine, which is another bizarre spot, but it was where I want to say not Joe Louis, but I think it's Ali knocked out Liston or one of those guys. It's where I think he had like the iconic picture standing over him. I'm pretty sure it was the same arena, which was really cool. And I remember that whole experience, and in that fight too, I broke my jaw, like completely broke it, but I didn't know it was wrong. I just knew something was wrong. All I remember is we came back like after the first or second round. I was like, don't take my mouthpiece out, man. I can't really move my mouth, so let's just fucking leave that in there right now. And I gave this guy like the worst whooping. Dude, wait till you see the highlights from this fight. I probably kneed this guy in the face. His head went all the way back and like his head touched his back. Like, I was like, dude, just stay down. Like, what the fuck? And spinning back kick right to the face, just like boom, eyes swelled up. Ref's like, can you see? He's like, yeah, I can see. I was like, fuck, dude, just go away. My jaw fucking hurts. Like, anyway, finished that fight. And like, again, second pro fight, I was just like already getting a taste of like what it means to be in this life. And just kind of kept going down that path. Things get a little more, squirrely. I blow out my knee in practice. Like I have what's called the bucket handle tear, and the meniscus is like flipped over. So my leg's like stuck backwards. And during this time, again, I've been running from things
Yes.
my whole life. So I got to experience like what it meant to be like I was a kid when I moved out here. I wasn't even 21.
Yeah.
And so when I moved out here, I had all this downtime. I started experiencing the nightlife and yeah, things of that sort. So really kind of prolonged my ability to come back and focus as I should. You know, and so I mean, I would, you know, get sober for a fight. I'd win. I'd celebrate for way too long. And, you know, I drank heavily. Like, you know, I quit drinking in 2019. But it wasn't until I quit till I was just like, man, I had a massive problem. Like my life didn't, you know, function unless I was either drinking or like I couldn't find a way to be social. You know, I realized most of my social events took place because I was under, you know, I was drinking or it was around drinks.
Yeah.
Many people might even argue the best version of myself existed when I was drinking, which whatever, that may be true. But to me, like, sure, I had good times, but I had more bad ones for sure.
Of course.
I was a terrible, like I was a very extreme person.
Did you get into
And
like fights and stuff?
just
Just a wild
just
child.
wild, man.
Yeah.
I was kicked out of almost every bar here. And
Man.
there's so many stories, like it's crazy. I used to like, I don't know, just have episodes, man. I really want to like talk because I just feel like it's just weird to talk about yourself. But I've had my friends put me in the back of cabs so many times. I've had Favor, you know, somehow guide me to my front door, and I'll be like, "How'd I get here?" You know, I don't know. You know, so many.
It's good that you
times.
have that like just that brotherhood though, you know what I mean? Like
I'm very fortunate, man. That's one thing I look to. You know, it's tough because drinking is so socially acceptable. What I wish had happened that I had a better mentor to see what a life without alcohol would have looked like. But nobody was doing that then. You know, this whole get sober movement didn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, 5 years ago or even 10 years ago when I was really bad and I was drinking a lot. Yeah, and I just didn't know how to turn it off, man. Like I felt like it was my access to a good time.
Yeah.
I felt like in order for me to be the best version of myself, I needed to have alcohol. If I wanted the courage to talk to a girl, I needed to be influenced, or I needed courage, or on the other end, I'd be like, I'm having such a bad day. Like, what's the easiest way to what's the easiest way to numb this? Alcohol. It's like, you know, and then it's like, you win. This calls for celebration. So I can drink it over here. And then, you know, I'll go home like, oh, I haven't seen my boys in fucking, you know, it's been years. Let's go for some drinks. Let's tear the town up. You remember who I am?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Let's go. And, you know, they would all come home with new tattoos. And, and I've done that a few times,
Oh, man.
I meet up with my boys. I haven't seen them in 4 years, and they're leaving with neck tattoos and all sorts of stupid shit.
And getting ready for a fight, you would be fine not drinking leading up to the fights? You would do
I'd find ways to get super motivated, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But there are times where my performances suffered because I couldn't pull it together. I get short notice fights, and you know the mentality of a fighter at the time was like, yeah, I'll fucking take that fight. But it's like, have you been training? It's like I could convince myself, yes. Am I training? Yes. Am I living the style, the lifestyle of a professional athlete at that moment? No.
Yeah.
And so I struggled with that because I wasn't this athlete in high school. I wasn't this A+ athlete. I was a partier that was athletically gifted and got away with a lot of things that I shouldn't have, especially in football and wrestling and track. Like I was fast, athletic. A lot of those things I didn't really work for, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I had any of those gifts until like they started to, until I realized like, well, you can't really rely on all this all the time. You know, you actually have to work really, really hard. And, so I guess like that's kind of what started transitioning me into like wanting to be more serious. Then I had a really good manager, but the Uriah's management team kind of ended up pausing things. So I went and got another manager, Ridium. And, you know, I was still kind of on that trajectory where I was like checking the box on all these fights, and like I ended up I was 12-3, 3 losses.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of those losses were short notice fights.
Yep.
Like you said, I was probably drinking and
Yep.
stuff. Like, you know, not that that's an excuse. I lost those fights, but
Yep.
they were all stupid, like in the moment decisions where I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll fuck that guy." And even when I lost, I didn't recognize it like that. I'd just be like, you know what I mean? Like, damn, like it was tough for me to swallow those. But I mean, I don't know. I was just like on to the next, on to the next,
Yeah.
on to the next. And then my manager called me to fight. I think it was Corey Sandhagen, who was like at the
Beast.
time. Yeah, he was not like he had been like 1 or 2 fights into the UFC. He had trained with us before.
Mm-hmm.
I had okay rounds with him that I recall. You know, I don't remember much, but that's what I recall. And I was like, fuck yeah, that'd be a sick fight. 10 days, and I was like, oh man, I'm fucking way too big right now. Like I was big. And I remember my manager at the time, he's like, bro, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, he's like, dude, you gotta get your shit together when we call. You know, I'm expecting you to be prepared. And I was like, yeah, you're right. This is I didn't realize this is how it could happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, this is UFC, man. I need you to get your shit together. And I was like, cool. I'm sorry, but if you call again, I'll be ready.
Mm.
And so, that's basically what happened. I think I took a fight, won the fight, and I'm just sitting here waiting. I had another really big fight for Tachi, fight a UFC vet. The whole card fell apart, got canceled, and I was like, oh man, it's tough. Like, cause now here I am really trying to push for the UFC, something that I never actually tried to do. I've never like pushed to be in the UFC. I was always just like, my time will come when it comes. Like, I don't know why. Kind of frustrated me because, like, looking back, I could have probably made the effort to want to be in the UFC so much earlier.
Without a doubt.
But just never had, like, coming from Michigan, I never had a believe in yourself mentality. It's just kind of like a win and party mentality.
Yeah.
And, like, very short-sighted. And so I got that second call to fight, I think it's Jordan Griffin on Francis Ngannou versus Dos Santos. Sick card. 10 days, I was ready. I said, yep. And I get a new scan. The one that I wasn't familiar with. I had plenty of MRIs and CAT scans and all that stuff. You have to as a professional. Getting hit in the head. They shoot this dye in my bicep, or in the blood vessel here. Goes your brain. Anyway, I remember getting it. Like, I've done a million brain scans. I've never had one that involved an injection.
Yeah.
Bizarre,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Wait, did all fighters have to get this done?
I think it was a brand new procedure.
Wow.
Like, even before, like, I think it was a brand new procedure by the commission in Minneapolis, meaning like another, like California doesn't require
Wouldn't
it.
do it. Wow.
And so I get there, take the test like 7 days before the fight, get to Minneapolis, cutting weight, doing all my media. I'm signing the posters. Like, I'm like right next to Francis Ngannou's face. I was like, look, signing my name and shit. Next, there's like 120 something posters I go through. And then like I'm doing all the media, my first interviews. And yeah, I'm just super stoked. And the day before their fight, they're like, hey, we got all your exams, but you have to go see the neurologist. We scheduled you out here. Here's an Uber. I'm like, I'm about to cut weight. Like, come on. Anyway, go out there. Mike Malott is out there to corner me, who's having a terror in the UFC right now.
He's killing it.
Yeah. During this time, he had completely quit fighting. He was over it, which is another bizarre thing to think about. Like, this guy had made it he was content with being a coach at that time. And he had, at the time, I didn't see any ambition for himself to want to do that, which is like super awe-inspiring now to see like he just got that itch back to do that. But anyway, we're in the Uber. He goes with me to my medicals. I don't even know why I brought him, but maybe he just wanted something to do. We go. And I'm like bullshitting with the neuro doctor who's going to look at my brain. And like, he's like, you know, I used to do karate. And I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like everyone and their mom or whatever. Not to be rude, just like that's one of the things you'll get a lot in the sport is
Yeah.
everyone trying to relate. And it's like, yeah, you know, he's got a black belt in whatever, jujitsu, whatever. And I was like, anyway, he was super cool. But like, he's like, yeah, you know, this will be fast. He like pops in the disc, and then they're like,
So
there's
he
like
hadn't seen it yet.
no, he didn't look at it. We looked at it together, and he was just like, whoa, fuck. I was like, what?
Oh,
He didn't say anything. He like flipped through a few more, flipped back, and you know,
what
it's
were you
tough.
thinking when he got quiet?
I was just like, I mean, I didn't think much. I was like, bro, I mean, the conversation was that he had someone else's scans
Okay.
because, and he was
Ooh.
convinced that too because, when he popped the scans out, the left side of my brain didn't have an artery that had any blood flow to it. It was completely blocked. And basically, he's like, when was your first stroke? You know what I mean? I was like, I've never had a stroke, bro. He's like, well, I don't know what to say. Don't know how you're here. Like, your left side of your brain is not getting blood through this artery. How are you functioning? And I was like, well, then it's not my scan.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, well, we're gonna have to go send you for, you know, emergency scans and go in and get scans, come back like within an hour, come back, and I look back up there. Scans are still just fucked. And he's just like, look, man, I don't know what to tell you, but if you were to go to sleep, like if someone were to choke you out, you probably wouldn't wake back up.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, I'm getting ready for this fight, and I never fucking tap out. Like, it's like I'll fight the choke for as long as I have to.
Yeah.
Had you ever, at any of your fights, ever been choked out?
No, which probably could have saved my life. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, now that I think about it.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, he didn't want to say too much because he didn't know too much. He didn't know the disease. He didn't know I had a disease. All he knew was that he was looking at this imaging from the scan, and he's like, just like I don't even know if you have much time left. You know what I mean? Without saying it, like I don't even want to scare you too much. Your body's compensating. Don't know why or don't know how, and I don't know for how long. So I was like, sick. Am I fighting tomorrow or what?
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, nah, man, I can't clear you.
No.
And I was like, bro, I obviously made it this far. I'm fucking 12-3. I've had 15 professional fights and 20 amateur fights, 40 fights. Like, let me fucking fight. So I'll promise I'll go get checked out on Monday.
He said, I promise.
Yeah,
Man.
he's like, dude,
This
I'll be
guy's
fine.
career's on the line.
And he's like, dude, I couldn't even, I can't. And so we get back to the UFC. I'm talking to the UFC doctors. And luckily, the doctor said something really kind to me at the time, even though he could have just been trying to protect my heart. And I don't know. He was just like, I want you to know that we see a lot of abnormities in the UFC. So just don't think about it too much right now. Let's see some specialists. And I held on to that. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely what it's got to be. It's got to be an abnormally. I'm fine. I've had a whole professional career.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? And I was just like, this is insane. There's no way. And so we get back home, and I see like I get all these new scans. I'm seeing all these new doctors, and they're just like you're gonna die. Basically, he's like, that your brain is not okay. And I was like, you're not helping at all. By the way, like the way you just spoke to me is not helping. She's like, I don't know what to say. I've never seen this before. Like, you have a blocked artery. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I see the fucking scan. Like, we both looking at it together.
Oh
you
my
know?
goodness.
And then the doctor, you know, and I see another guy. He's like, yeah, we couldn't clear you to fight. There's just no way. Like, you know, and I don't know, man. For some reason, I just like blocked it all out. I just did. I don't know why I did, but I did. And I was just like, you guys don't know what you're talking about.
Wow.
Even though they're the ones that went to school for it.
Yeah.
But Uriah had found that Stanford was the spot to go. You know, I have a brain disease called Moyamoya. Moyamoya is where the blood vessels in your brain begin to narrow over time until they're completely occluded and closed. My left side had, you know, been closed. I don't know for how long, but it had been completely closed. And so there is a Moyamoya Center in Stanford, and I sent my scans over. I was like, can I be seen? They saw me. he was the first. Dr. Steinberg was the first and only doctor to be like, you know, hey, there's a chance for you. There's an opportunity for you. It's like, sick. Let's do it. What do we got to do? He's like, you know, we got an 18-hour brain surgery.
Oh.
And not without its risk. I was like, oh shit. You know, explain it. And so basically, you know, they take off the left side of your or part, you know, decent sized part of your skull. They do you know, an indirect bypass and a direct bypass. It's where they use a blood vessel from the outside of your brain and connect it to. They'll pull the skull off. They'll use a blood vessel like from my ear and like the top of my head and like one from my forehead. They'll redirect the blood vessel over here. They'll lay one across the brain, you know, and in time, I believe that the blood vessel begins to grow into the brain or over the brain and supplies the blood like that. And then they do the direct, which is where they backload, like I think maybe the damaged part of the blood vessel. I'm not entirely sure. And so, yeah, I dealt with you know, I was just like, all right, let's go, you know, like brain surgery, you know, 1 second. This is like how crazy that part was. Like 1 second, I'm making my UFC debut. Something that I've sacrificed since I was in my teen years.
Yeah.
You know, arguably still a kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And going to make that walk, and just still holding on to that day is still going to exist for me. You know what I mean? I'm still going to have that moment. I've given everything. Can't take this from me. It's mine. I've lost friends, family to make that walk. I'm going to get it. I don't care. You fucking open my brain up, dog. Like, I'll be back. And so I had the brain surgery. I remember I woke up the next day because it's fucking forever long. And, you know, to be honest, I wasn't the same person for like a week or two. I tried to put on this face, or I didn't try, I did. Even then, I was still completely oblivious to like this, how serious what happened. I just thought everything that I was going through was gonna come back. I couldn't speak. I had a speech impediment, lapses in memory. I had episodes where I'd lose my vision, you know, and not where like I would be open, like just where like the wall, like everything would close in on itself and just gone.
Oh my goodness.
And they warned me. They're like, hey, things are going to happen. Just be prepared. And I was like, sweet. You said it's going to be okay. I believe that it's going to be okay. And for the most part, honestly, I think I did do okay in comparison to other people that have this disease. People that have this disease haven't typically a rougher time than me. They don't get the privilege to get a brain disease scan that says, hey, you're messed up. They get a stroke, and then they get the consequences forever. Then they get the surgery.
I mean, God's favor was on you, man. Because even like when you tell the Uriah connection, like you coming out to Sacramento it's
bizarre, right? The whole thing is bizarre.
Was absolutely part of it. You know what I mean? And then what you just said. I mean, I can't even begin to believe how many people are living with diseases or things in their brain that they're just completely unaware of. So God's favor on getting you to have that brain scan that took place, right? Because I'm thinking, like, let's just pretend real quick if part of your story was you were just slinging those like super amateur fights, like in the bars and stuff. They're not giving you those same, you know, the same level of attention that the UFC is.
I think two things when I think about that. I think one, I'm not an athlete and my body doesn't know how to compensate, so I die sooner. Or have a stroke sooner.
Yep.
And I do think too, it's like, had I not pushed to be in the UFC, I would, you know, the doctor, he's like, you would have had a major stroke by your next birthday.
God,
I was like 29 at the time.
So wait, how old were you when you had the surgery?
29.
29. So this is kind of right along time where you stopped drinking?
Well, I had to, didn't have to, oddly enough. I had brain surgery. and how again I had this like weird. I was so bitter about like not making my walk
Mm.
that like I was like it's still gonna come for me. It's still coming for me. And then so like I just like 2 weeks after brain surgery, I went back home for the holiday. I think I went to Michigan, got obliterated. It was terrible. I don't know why. Um, but I also did some stuff too there that just made me think like, man, what like do I actually want to get back in the UFC? Like, what am I doing? I can't function. I'm not doing like it hurts even more to drink. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Since I got a new brain, what am I doing? Taking it for a ride? Like, what is going on?
Exactly.
And so I just quit, man. It was like the weirdest thing. I just cold turkey, just stopped drinking.
Yeah.
And then that, like, it was like a huge awakening. I was like, whoa, drinking was a major problem. Didn't
Yeah.
even notice it.
for
Ideally,
you,
I
man.
didn't plan to like stop drinking. I only quit drinking until my 6-month follow up to assess my future for fighting. So that was one of the conversations that I had with the surgeon was like, you know, come back in 3 weeks, see how the surgery took and stuff like that, get new scans, because whatever. And he was like, hey, you want to compete, like you need to have like a groundbreaking recovery. Like you're we're gonna need a recovery from you that we have not, you know, it needs to be good. And he's like, you see these blood vessels, they're like this thin right now. When you come back, they need to be triple in size. Like, well, how are you gonna do that? You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm just sitting here thinking, well, I can't be doing it drinking. You know what I mean? I think that might narrow blood vessels.
Yeah,
right?
it messes with
Dehydrates
the
you,
brain big
so-
time.
Yeah, so I that was my only thing. I was like, well, I'm just gonna give everything at it that I can. And for the first time, I was like, I'll quit drinking. They wanted me on all this blood pressure medication. I took it for like a week, and I remember. I don't know how to explain it other than just you feel like anxious when you take it. It's like, you know, the blood pressure was obviously to push new blood through the new blood vessels, right? So they're like going around, you know, that by pushing new blood. And it does not feel good. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what can I do to facilitate blood and have like a need or a demand? What creates a demand for blood? You know, cardio, bikes. Income is my cycling career. And Uriah, you know, is to blame for that as well. It's so weird. The guy's like, when people, you know, ask to like talk about him or whatever, I'm just like, bro, I am so tired of leaning on the guy. Like it bugs me. Guy like moved me out here, saves my brain. You know what I mean? Puts me on my first bike, like you know what I mean. I'm just like, I'm so tired of it. And then someone's like, hey, you know, maybe we should let's ask Uriah to do this interview. And I was like, bro, I don't want to hit him up for anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I always tell him that. He's like, dude, it's okay. And I'm like, shut up. You fucking have to say that. It's like wired into you. It's so annoying. But
That's good though, man.
yeah, dude. So anyway, like he had this old Cannondale in his garage.
Yeah.
It's not a bad bike. And then I was like, hey, you mind if I just like ride a bike around? I can't really spar right now. Can I just ride his bike? It got to the point where I was on the bike so much, I swear he was just like, hey man, I need my bike back, because I think he wanted me just like in the gym at some point. But yeah, man, I just that was like when I really started to get like the therapy that I think that I really actually needed, like the deep rooted stuff that you know, that I really needed to have conversations with myself, you know. During this time, that 6 months, I think my biggest issue was identity. I struggled with it.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like, I ran, like we talked about, from everything, felt like I was just running. And I was like, who am I? You know what I mean? At this time, I wasn't married. I didn't have a kid. The only thing I was this guy that had left home a long time ago to pursue a fighting career and almost made it. That's who you are right now. Who are you without fighting? Right now, you don't have a license. Everyone's saying you'll never come back and fight. And you're convincing yourself, which I was aware of, that you're going to come back. But like, you ask anyone that has a craniotomy and a brain disease if they're going to license them to compete.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I was just struggling with like, hey, I'm still relevant. You know what I mean? Like, hey, like, you know, and I get all these like, you know, UFC's like, people are wanting to ask me, and there's like a podcast here and a podcast there, and interviews, and I was like, I don't want to do anything right
Yeah.
now. I just like the worst thing I could think about was talking about my brain. Like you're just giving more attention to the thing that's trying to take everything from you.
Yeah.
So I just like not only did that, like I did the opposite. Like the identity thing was like, now what am I identifying as a brain surgery survivor? It's like that sounds terrible. Like I identify as a guy with a brain disease. Like
Yeah.
like no, that's not who I am. I'm a fucking fighter, man.
Yeah.
Gave my life to this. I'm nobody but this. This is who I am. Like that's it. And it's like, are you okay with not being that? And the answer was no. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know how to be anybody. And again, so cycling is kind of something that helped have that tough conversation with myself. You know, I had a kid. His name's Vincent Murdock the third. You know, I was born on my dad's birthday, so whatever. We keep it going.
Incredible.
And you know, it took a long time to get comfortable with like, hey, you know, fighting. You're a lot more than just a fighter. And then after learning that, it was like being okay with that. Are you okay with being, you know, not the fighter? And it just took, you know, you might even say that might be the reason why I'm not as good at it as I used to be. But at the same time, I've came to the conclusion it just doesn't mean that much to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm more than that, you know. At one point, it ruled my life, and it got me a lot of the things that I have today, which are great. But you know, to say that I'm not anybody but that is like I'm many more things than just that. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a son. You know, I'm a cyclist now.
Yeah.
And, you know, and hopefully I'm somebody that people look to get more out of life, right? They're like, well, what are you trying to do? Advocate for your brain disease or whatever. Like, I just want to advocate for people that they're capable of still doing more and hard things. That's what XL stood for.
Yeah.
That's what getting my, you know, my fight license back and going to the Ultimate Fighter and, you know, back into the UFC, like all that stood for like, they'll throw the fucking book at you. They'll throw anything at you, but you're still capable of doing really, really tough things. I'm not saying you got to go ride 360 miles to, you know, stick your flag in the fucking hill.
Yeah.
But you know, do something that you don't think that maybe. I'm just saying that there's things you can do that you don't think you can do, which is like, that's the crazy part is like, you don't even think that you could do those yet. And telling you from somebody who had no belief in myself at all, like zero, none, not even a little bit. I didn't even think I was going to be in the UFC. Like, just kind of, you know, it took like 10 years until I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to the UFC. But like, that's the thing. Like, I'm trying to tell you right now, there's things out there that you can do that you don't even believe that you can do yet. And I'm going to continue to do those hard things. And trying to, you know, push myself into that category of like a fighter. It's like now it's like, don't get me wrong. I love the sport. I love the rawness of it and what it means and like who I was when I did it. But like, there's just so much more, you know, like not like had I not had the brain disease, I think about not having my son. Having a kid has been by far the coolest thing I have ever done. Having, you know, what I thought mattered, like, doesn't actually matter.
Figure out
now.
quickly, right? Once
Yeah,
you have a kid,
you're just like,
figure
all
it
this
out
shit I
quickly.
thought that mattered is like, nah, dude, like making him smile like matters. That's what matters. And at least to me anyway. And it's like there's just nothing more fulfilling than just being a parent, man.
Circling back when you had the operation, were you already in a relationship with your now wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we met in 2016.
So in
3
Sacramento.
years. Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. So, because that had to just been, I can only imagine like you needed some pretty incredible support, I would imagine, to kind of just navigate whatever that looked like.
That's how selfish this sport is. But even like when I was like with her and stuff, like she was over here sacrificing everything to like make sure like it wasn't like, oh, the relationship and then like, you know, you see a lot of fighters that get married or whatever and that all falls off. It was like, nah, I'm a fighter and like you come second. And like she was cool with that, which it's not okay. But what I'm saying is like that's how selfish this sport was. And that's how stupid I was prior to having this thing and like waking me up. And it's like literally like shaking me like, bro, there's so much more. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's actually my wife's birthday today, so
Oh,
Wow,
no
happy
way.
happy birthday, Kira Murdock. That's her name. So yeah.
Hopefully you
But
guys will have
she's
some.
she's like, bro, she's incredible. Like nothing, this awakening, whatever you want to call it, doesn't exist without her help. She's the most supportive person in my life. Like she's held it down, everything, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
I
Let's
love it.
let's talk about Enjoy, because you got the
Yeah.
fit on. Hey, I bought one of the Enjoy. This is like a shameless plug for a tall dude, but can we get some jerseys that are
Yeah.
for the big guys?
Yeah.
We can work on that. But I got the leopard.
The tough part, let me just say, the tough part about that, because that is a complaint that we get a lot, is that I am a small person. So when I design all these things, bro, I wear an extra small jersey. Like, it's bizarre. As I want that shit painted on. I don't even like extra small doesn't even fit me. I make it fit. And so that's my biggest my biggest problem is like I make all these clothes basically fabricated for myself versus not the public. And it's like, who am I trying to, sell to? Myself? It's like, all right, I'm the owner. I got all the shit I need. So that's one thing that we are trying to do is cater to, the American population. It's like you think cycling is very Euro and they're just skinnier and smaller over there. And it's like out in America, it's just not that. Like the majority of our sales are all larges, extra larges, and double XLs, and it's like even them don't want a race cut jersey. So yeah,
No,
trust me,
I'm just
I hear
I'm
ya.
just busting your chops.
No, you're not. It's the truth.
It's phenomenal, and I get I've done quite a few century rides, and I get a lot of head stares. I'm like, people looking at the leopard print enjoy kit, but it's fucking dope. You
We
guys,
probably sold like 100 of those. Those are our hottest selling item. And I was really nervous. You guys see them. They're sick. They're these leopard print bibs. And I was too nervous to bring them in as a product on the shelf just because I was like, who the fuck is going to want leopard print besides me? So I made them pre-order. I made it a pre-order item every time. We've done 3 rounds of them. We sell like 30 or 40 bibs every time we do it.
Oh, they're
And
great.
It's like,
That's
and
crazy.
it's just like, man, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Sick.
so how Enjoy all started was it just you? Was it you? Like, do you have any co-founders? Talk about Enjoy, the brand, the club, and kind of just
Yeah.
what that looks like.
Again, yeah. So Enjoy, as much as it is for them, it's equally for myself, right? Because part of like what really like checks that box now is finding ways to give back and seeing others check their boxes, and that's what Enjoy I inspired to do. When like the idea around it was like trying to come up with a name that inspired people, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we kind of fell on Enjoys, because like at the end of the day, like I want to make sure you're not looking at all these other things, all this other bullshit that doesn't matter, like your speed, your watts, and like calories, and like your distance. And it's like, dude, are you on your bike? Enjoy it, right? Super simple. And it doesn't have to be just be bikes, but like everything. Like I think too many people forget to enjoy the rest of their day or whatever, or slow things down in that sense. And that's kind of like when starting Enjoy, what I wanted to do was like give everybody what I got from the bike, like what it did for me. It had given me something. So it's like, how do I give this to everyone else, right? First things first is opening it up to like non-cyclists. Like the toughest part about it is like most cyclists, no offense, are like not very cool. And so I was trying to figure out ways to be more inclusive, I guess, and see more people like myself on a bike. You just didn't see it, man. And it's not the most inviting sport, right?
Yeah.
I'd go out to some of these group rides and maybe I would get away with a few things, not all the time, but it's like these guys treat me a certain way because of who I am. If I were anybody else, they can be a little rough on them. And I was just like, this is not like what the sport is to me. And so I need to find a way in my own lane to be able to provide that, right? And so Enjoy just started out me and my buddy Fergie, who's a nurse at Kaiser, so he sees some shit, that hospital.
Oh, yeah.
If you're working in the ER at that spot. But yeah, he's someone who had left the sport when he was a kid. He was training to be a professional cyclist and all that, and had a falling out with it, and then he was like re-entering the sport, and he was trying to look at cycling in a new light, right? before it just became this thing that used to do his head in. It's like you need results. You have to be fast and fit, and it's like on top of all that, you got to win, and that just is not fun.
Yeah.
Like that part ruined it for him, right? So it's like now he's coming back to the sport. And it's like, how can I make this fun? And it's like enjoy. So like to us together, like it was more about the adventure and the therapy that we got from it. And it's like, okay, we need to branch out. And so we started the team. We didn't really expect it to get so large. It just kind of kept growing. There was like 6 of us. No, not even that. Like 4. It just kept growing and growing and growing. And every single story on the team, most of these guys don't come from a cycling background, which is why it's so cool.
Yeah.
The chef at Origami, his name's Scott Ostrander. Since being on the team, has completed like 3 Ironmans. Something like that's what I'm talking about. Like you're getting these guys that are so out for, like this guy's a chef from fine dining. Now he's out here checking off, doing Ironmans, running marathons. Like that's what I want to see.
That's incredible.
And I want to help people get there. How do we get more of that? We got Gaston. Gaston was a hired hand for me and Cody Garbrandt to film like a little cycling session. We put I think there was a Craigslist ad out there. This guy showed up on like a 1996 Specialized touring bike. He had 3 chain rings. Didn't look like the chain had ever seen a drip of lube. He showed up in like Vans, flip flops, and like some chino shorts, and a scarf, and like a backwards hat. And I was like, "You're gonna follow us? Like, what do you?" And he did. And he just like had his little camera, and like he's a legit like videographer, right? But he wanted this job, so he's like, he's like, I could do this. And he just got picked up by like the fastest and largest tri bike in the world. He's sponsored by Koo. He's done his, he qualified for Worlds in Ironman. But this guy was like he was a vegan pot smoking kid when I met him.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And it's like seeing and Joy like change the trajectory of these lives is like everything I wanted to be. And every single guy on our team has a story like that now. It's just super cool to see these guys.
Sick. It's so dope, man.
It's incredible. How many miles a week is kind of what are you currently riding?
It's funny you say miles because it's like I used to be very mile focused where I was like, I want 300 miles a week, 350 would be sick. Now I'm an hour. Now we look at hours. And so usually I'm at like anywhere between 15 is like my average, and then 20 hours is like a big week. So like 15 hours, which is usually around 250 to 350 mileage, just depending on the kind of work that goes into all that.
That's a lot of saddle time.
Yeah, it is. That's basically like 4 hours a day, basically.
I'm fired up if I'm doing hours. If I get in about 6 hours, 6 to 7 is kind of like my sweet spot. 2 to 3 rides. I enjoy Peloton when I'm not on my actual bike.
Yeah. You can get a lot done if it's structured properly, which is what I've enjoyed with all the trainer work and stuff.
And then back to the living in Sacramento thing. How blessed are we to have what we have out here? It's literally I have to pinch myself.
Dude, I've traveled quite a bit. Obviously all over the world, but like even since cycling, like I go to these other places and I was like, man, I probably would not be a cyclist if it wasn't for the Sacramento American River Bike Trail. It is so sick, dude. That thing is like a highway. You can get almost 50, 60 miles on that thing from like Beals to Discovery and back. Like, easy. And, is it crowded sometimes? Sure, but it's better than riding on the road. There's always something going on. I actually enjoy it. I hate people that say they don't like it because I'm just like, dude, like, it's like our own little culture. It's like a little fun world out there. You don't know what you're going to see, dude. You're going to see all sorts of stuff. I've seen weddings take place and like, there's always goats and stuff. It's I don't know. I like the bike trail, but yeah, you're right. We are so lucky to have that. It is like a highway to everywhere I got to go. I commute there. We talked houses when we first got here. My house ain't off the bike trail. I ain't buying it.
That's great.
Where do you live right now?
I'm in Orangevale, kind of by the Fair Oaks Bike Park.
Yep. Okay.
So maybe Fair Oaks-ish. It's right off of like Hazel and Madison.
Yep.
Oh, you're right there. Yeah.
That's right like where I want to live because I want to be close enough to the hills, and I want to be close enough to my little highway down to our gym on 56.
So,
Perfect.
so you've
For 6th and 5th.
you've also done the death ride, yeah?
Yeah, 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah. Died every time.
What'd you say?
Died every time.
Damn.
I always like say like I'm gonna come. Like I tell my buddy when we get back, I was like, bro, I left something out there. Where'd you leave? Left my soul. I gotta go get it. And so we was always just tell him like I gotta come back out here and get what's mine. For some reason, I'm like I'm gonna be in better shape next year. So it'll just be easier next year. Every fucking year so far, I've just found a way to like completely implode and just crawl.
How's that possible though? I mean, like I'm just trying to think about it with the amount of time that you ride.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just because the death ride is this its own beast in regards to how much
It just
climbing?
depends. I mean, like, it's like you take that same effort and you just spread out the intensity, right? So it's like we get to these things, we were like race each other up the hill. It's like death ride is 100 miles and 14,000 feet of climbing. So it's usually you look at a route. And on paper, if it's like 1-to-1, meaning for every 10 miles, there's 1,000 feet of climbing. You're like, oh shit, that's a climbing day. That's a big day, right? Like that'd be a really big day. This is 4,000 feet on top of that. So you're looking at like 1,200. Like it's a lot of vert. You know what I mean?
So you don't like. I'll just kind of give you like what I would consider like
coming down is sick though.
Yeah.
like normal centuries. Like I'm doing one in Sebastopol in a couple weeks where it's 100 miles and it's just under 6,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah,
right?
that's solid.
So 100 miles with 14,000. It kind of it doesn't sound like there's much. You don't get a lot of breaks at all. It's this constant.
The good thing about the death ride is like if you ever gonna do something with that much vert, I wouldn't do it for a century ride. If you're gonna do a century ride, like pick a different one.
Yeah.
You're gonna do the death ride, do it for the vert. Like you've never, but they have the best aid stations that I have ever done. You like get to the top of the hill or down, and they're like they got the spread, man. You want a pizza, sandwich? I mean, whatever. Like they're just like bigger than this room. Like I'm not kidding, just spreads, and it's just like anyone was gonna like help you out.
Yeah.
That'd be the best time to take on that kind of thing. Like if I were to go do that day by myself, it would be a day. You know what I mean? But with the support that they put on for you for the death ride, it's very doable. I seen like 80-year-old, people out there getting it. I'm like, holy shit, talk about inspiring. I'm over here crying about my fucking knees or whatever. This dude's on flat pedals and like, I'm just blown away sometimes by some of the things I see out there. And so it's like, man, sometimes I'm just like, shut the fuck up, keep going, man. There's got people out here with some unique shit.
You're also dealing with elements because it is part of it being the death ride and when the time of the year it takes place. Is it pretty hot?
Yeah, I cooked. I mean, it starts at 5 a.m. So it's like it starts pretty cool. But man, it really once you get past like noon, it starts to can cook out there, man. Yeah. So that's always the tough part for me. It just depends. Every year I find a way to like push it just a little bit too hard for myself, and that's the problem. Like, could I have done that day all those 3 times just like at a different intensity and pace? Sure. But like for me, I'm always trying to like get the most out of this, and I just gas it. And I'm just trying to go up, I'm trying to break all my friends and in turn just end up breaking myself.
Well,
every fucking time. But yeah, you guys should definitely do the death ride. Death ride, for anyone that's listening to, the death ride is a sick event. And as far as support, like there's some of the best aid stations I have ever seen. They got pickles, sandwiches, whatever, just Cokes. Like it's awesome.
Man.
Well, I appreciate what you say too about like it's funny because when we literally started this podcast and I said, I mean, if you are in Sacramento and you're a cyclist or not even like label a cyclist, the name Vince Murdock, people know this name, but it's almost like you're like, no, I'm not, like, don't label me a cyclist, like I appreciate and applaud what you're saying because I can totally see that where like, I don't know, it's the cool kids that have been doing it for 10, 20, however many years, and they don't want to talk to you. It's like it's a cliquish, cultish,
very cliquish.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like with what with your brand and what you guys are doing. it should be a community where we're like, we treat each other with
Yeah.
like, we're
I think
nice to each other.
That's why I'm happy to be out here to mix it up. Like they can't get away with bullying me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good, and not that they mean to. They're just protective of their thing. And racing's a very fast paced thing, elevated heart rates. But like it takes a special or a certain or a unique individual to even get into the sport to begin with.
Yeah.
And most cyclists come from probably like an introvert type, so they
Mhm.
don't really have the best interactions
Got
with
it.
humans
Yeah,
to begin
you-
with.
makes
I'm not
sense.
saying it's all the people. I'm just saying
Of course.
that's just one of the things that I've noticed. And it's like, the sport's dying a little bit, especially the road scene. So it's like, if we're going to become more inclusive, like how do we do that? And it's not by scaring away new riders. you
Yeah.
know? So there just has to be some sort of thing. And I don't think anybody means anything. It's just, if you've noticed, like you said, it's cliquey. And my goal would to be just inviting. And if it's not with me, it's just to show you how to do it on your own, if possible. It is, especially in Sacramento. I mean,
Totally. Road bike versus gravel bike. Is there a preference for you? Do you enjoy them both? Like,
Yeah. This year's been very gravel focused, but like outside of the last 6 months, I've been primary road since I started. Like I was always on the road bike. Raced like all the crits and road races. I didn't really do too much gravel until like last year. I did the XL. Would have been like probably my second gravel event ever. I just picked the largest one. And then part of like what I wanted to do this year was after I'm taking some time away from the sport, probably leaning towards retiring, or just taking some massive time off. I don't know. I just don't have a desire to fight.
Yeah.
It's one of those sports you can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
No
You just
question.
can't. There has to be this a motivating motivator. And so since I feel like I'm taking some time away, I kind of put like a full calendar of races like together, which has been really kind of cool to like put
That's
myself
awesome,
in a
man.
different world that I'm unfamiliar with. And it's been fun, I've raced a bunch this year in the gravel scene, which feels brand new to me.
Yeah.
And been having a blast, just crushing my soul. Like I said, I know it sounds silly, but it's like, and I hate to like, because there are people going through some tough stuff out there, but like to me, it's like you want to feel like, I don't know, I like to get to the edge of death, right? What does that feel like? Probably being hungry, thirsty, like your body's screaming at you, trying to live. You don't know like how hard it is to breathe until you're out of oxygen. You can't breathe. I'm like finding ways to like look for that, and like where my body is fighting to get those nutrients or oxygen, or it's fighting to get those that stuff to survive. And it just feels so fucking good to do that, man. It's like, yeah, that's what it feels like to be alive, when your body
Alive.
needs hydration, it needs water, it
Yeah.
needs to breathe. You're exercising all its abilities to like what it means to be a human. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A living thing. What does it need? Oxygen, air, water, food. It's like, okay, I'm gonna fuck with all those resources and like watch your body just fight and like try to figure it out. And it's like, it's just so mental, you know what I mean?
Oh,
It's like,
man.
yeah, I don't know, man. I love it.
That's so good. That's so
I
good.
break
Well,
myself off all the time.
when I get tired on my bike, I'll just think about that, man. Because I can imagine like I think one of the hardest things that I did physically was I did a 4x4x48. That was like a David Goggins thing where I
Yeah, you
basically
ran
every
4
4 hours. I ran 4 miles for 48 hours straight. And the part that was the hardest part for me, which I want to ask you on this XL ride that you did, is the lack of sleep. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like you're basically running, for 48 hours, but like during that 24 hours, you're pedaling for 24 hours. I'm guessing you didn't get much sleep.
We don't sleep at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think a thing like that, and the effort that we were pushing was a pretty high pace. I believe that the heart rate is just so elevated that your body doesn't really get to even kind of come down.
Got it.
Right. So I imagine that's what like caffeine feels like for like extended periods of time.
Mm.
I'm just guessing. All I know is like when you're elevated is like your heart rate is over 130, you know, like that's not low. It's not super high, but it's like, you know, it's not under 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
You're not
it's-
ready for a nap.
You're not ready. And so I can't imagine your body can shut down in that state. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. So yeah, you're pretty elevated. You're pretty, I don't know. I didn't think about sleep. I wasn't even tired when I finished.
And so but you did have a support crew with you that.
No, so I brought out 2 of my riders, right? And we brought them out to pace each other to kind of help check this box for each other. Part of what I wanted to do was take people, you know, Fergie, right? Because he's one of the founders of the team, and I was like, I did this last year, right? Don't need to do it again, right? But I want to. And if I'm gonna do it, I want a faster time. But I would like my friends to experience this too, and I'd like to help other people check this box just so they can see like what it is, like how crazy. Like you want to find out what you're made of, man. Like let's do it. Like this is gonna be one of the craziest moments of your life. We might hate it, whatever, but you know, it'll be a feather in the cap, and nobody can take this from you. And believe me, you will remember it, and we will talk about it forever.
That's
And so that, you know, I took them out there, and it was fun, man. We just talked about a bunch of shit. We got chased by dogs. What else? Yeah, all sorts of stuff. Just wild. Gas station things. I mean, I crashed 3 times.
What?
Yeah, not even good ones, too.
Oh no!
I remember I like went down in a puddle. The one was really bad. We went down this descent, and usually, and I'm not the best out of all of us, but I just ripped this one. I railed it. It was just like you had to grab like lines because it's gravel, so it's like you're watching out for rocks. And I was like, these guys don't see it. You know, I got the eyes right now, and so I'm just ripping down this thing, and then like starts to flatten out, and then there's like this huge puddle, and I tried to like ride the edge of this tall grass, and I just like go down right into this puddle. I'm just sitting here thinking like, oh, I couldn't have crashed on like any of the other crazy shit that I just did. You know what I mean? But I go into this puddle and I'm like trying to get up all fast before like my friends like roll up on me and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Don't fucking talk to me." And I was like, "Oh, it's fine." Like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. But yeah, and then I got caught in a couple ruts and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's mental.
Crazy.
That's so awesome.
So Jesse talks about there's a documentary going on right now. Can
I should probably. I don't know how
Yes.
much we do talk or what we can say or not say, but yeah, we've been filming a documentary roughly on just kind of my explorations since like 2020 or 19, one of those, something like that. And with a bigger focus, you know, originally we wanted to do something that was geared towards like getting back to the UFC, right? That was my goal at the time.
Yeah.
You know, the tough part is just it hasn't been that easy to get back, you know, as we've seen. You know, I did go back to the Ultimate Fighter and those things like that, which were great. But just not the kind of story that we were hoping to.
Yeah.
And so, again, I don't think that it needed to be that, but I think the broader message that we wanted to share was like, we wanted to do something that, you know, highlighted Moyamoya, that it gave more exposure to I don't want to say victims, but like people like me, and highlight some of the stories other than myself, right? Seeing what it really looks like for someone that has this disease, not just me. I think a lot of people see me, it's like, well, it must not be that bad. Like, brain disease, this guy still does a ton of shit.
Yeah.
That's just not the truth, man. A lot of people that have this are not as fortunate. And I'd like to share that and show that and show, you know, inspire some of them that, you know, to share their stories and continue to, you know, so they can do something hard and so be like, see, you know, and they can show that. And that's what I hope the documentary turns out to be. You know, we're filming quite a bit, which is really cool to see. Yeah, and in terms of that's kind of what it's basically about. It's just like now just shining a light on how I got here, what the disease looks like, what the rest of my future might look like with it, and me doing hard shit and just showing you what, you know, what's still capable.
It's amazing.
Man. What quick other question about Moyamoya. Obviously, without the dye in your arm, and you get the scan, you don't know it and don't catch it early. Is there any other thing that can help people detect it early? Like you say, most of the time, a lot of people
Yeah.
find out when a stroke happens, right?
They might experience what I think is called like a TIA.
Uh-huh.
All right. I think I've experienced those things. But for me, when I've experienced anything, I'm like, well, yeah, I just got dropped on my head for fucking 2 hours.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right?
Of course, things hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was always kind of hard for me because they're like, surely you had some sort of symptoms. Like, yeah, you know, I would trip a lot. Sometimes there'd be moments where like I would lose feeling in my feet and I'd roll my ankle
Interesting.
like pretty regularly. But never thought anything of it. I was like,
Yeah.
"Man, I'm clumsy."
Yeah.
But you know, that's just the tough part is because like yeah, I guess you would want to look for some sort of symptom like that.
Got
right?
it.
Like some sort of stroke type symptom.
Got it.
Tingling in the face or hands or the feet. You know, maybe if some splurn
Yeah.
your speech and stuff like that. But for me, I mean, it's so tough just because we were always going at each other's throats and
Yeah.
punching each other. It's like
Exactly.
getting hit in the head all the time. It's like, I don't remember yesterday. What are you talking
Hard to
about?
see. Hard
You
to
know,
notice the little things, right?
Yeah, and that's probably the tough part is like, as far as scans, I really don't know if there is something, right? Because the way I think it's an angiogram, the way it works, the MRI or the MRA, is this checks for the pathways, right? An MRI is just like your brain's like health or function,
Yeah.
right? Doesn't really see the blood vessels, so it's not
Yeah.
something they're actually really looking for. So unless you have a reason to check your blood, your vessels, why would you check for them?
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Same thing with like a heart attack or something
Yeah.
like that. It's like if you don't experience like shortness of breath, well, why are you checking the pathways to your heart? Why
Yeah.
would you? You don't
Yeah.
know to. You don't. So yeah, it's I guess that's just the tough part. It sucks, man.
Interesting.
Because usually when it does come on and it does happen to somebody, it's fucking sucks, man.
Ugh. Unreal. Unreal.
You were one of the lucky ones, man. So, and it's blossomed into this thing that you're doing now, which is just next level crazy. I mean, hearing these cycling stories is wild. Sure, you've also meeting some incredible people along the way. Saw that you had a bet with Lachlan. How did you guys first meet?
Yeah, I think I met him at Rodeo Cross, which is like this crazy grassroots like cyclocross thing that we have here in like Sacramento or like Folsom. And it's like this Wednesday night pickup ride. You know, I don't wear a jersey or nothing, like a t-shirt. Anyway, it's like a cyclocross event. He just showed up and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna race this guy, whatever. And that's like how I met him originally. And we would run into each other a couple times on the trail, and we just opened up to each other, man. We've just been pretty close ever since kind of meeting, and he's just a really easy guy to talk to in terms of you know, who's also experienced a lot in his professional career. I think at the same time, and what we had like spoke on or touched on was that like we were both, you know, he had already left the tour, like the larger, like, you know, like world tour racing, and kind of focused on this privateering gravel stuff, which was pretty new or is still pretty new. Wherein I was like leaving fighting kind of and just like doing my own thing and finding my own path. And I think we just kind of connected on that
Nice.
for the most part. And he's like, yeah, and we're just like kind of talking about our lives and how we're trying to navigate still finding things that check boxes for us, you know?
That's
And,
yeah. So, and what was the bet that you guys made? So was it?
Wasn't really a bet. I was just talking shit to him. I pretty much just like, I grew my hair out. First off, my son, you know, was so scared of the clippers that we haven't cut his hair. He's going to be 4 in August, so his hair's like down to here. And he thinks the clippers are going to hurt him or whatever, or scissors or anything. And we would go to the park and they'd be like, hey, are you a girl or a boy? He's like, I'm a boy. It's like everyone's asking. And it was like, oh, your daughter's so cute. And it's like, I've heard that from so many people. But when it actually happens to you and your kid, you're just like, God damn it. He's got a tank top. He's got his shirt off. Anyway, so I'm like, he's a boy. Yeah, so I was just like, I tried to normalize long hair for him a little bit, and I did my best, you know, to grow it out. It wasn't growing as fast as his. And so I'm like growing my hair out, and it's just like, like I didn't know how to do with it. I mean, I would literally put a hat on and be like, I don't like that piece. And I'd cut it off. That was how I was trimming my hair. It was just like, I'd put my helmet on sometimes. And I'd get like a straggler that was like way out here. And I was like, yeah, it's gotta go. And like, that's how I was cutting my hair. And I was like getting to this point, and then, you know, I'd been growing it for like 8 months, 10 months. It was long. Like I haven't had long hair ever. So I was his age. And I was just like, you think maybe I can talk shit to Lachlan and be like, loser shaves his head? You know what I mean? I want to shave my head anyway. And so I just put it out there. He sent me a text message like way early, like a week, like 2 weeks before the race, like 3 weeks. And he was just like, hey, mate. Oi, mate. No, he just said, hey, mate. Hope you're feeling good about the race. And I can't remember what I responded. Didn't respond to anything. But I basically just, you know, right underneath it was just like, just didn't even respond to it. I said, hey, loser shaves his head.
Oh, my God.
You know, he's trying to be all nice. And I was just trying to, like, dude, he's, like, set the course record. I'm not going to beat Lachlan. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I was really hoping to shave my head, which didn't happen. I didn't know he was going to shave it, which I thought was even cooler. And I remember when we get there, he goes, when we got to the start line, he's like, man, I wanted to shave my head. I was like, oh, fuck. We can still do it. You know what I mean? I was like, you still lost, right? Because he came in second. So I was like, I was just rubbing some more dirt
That's
on
so
it.
good.
But, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. So
He came in second on that race?
yeah. Yeah.
What in the
I mean, not
world?
without his effort, though. That's what I think is, like, obviously his competitor, but, like, that race doesn't really, like, pick up the momentum or speed without a guy like Lachlan setting the tone super early, and
Yeah.
he did just that. I mean, they beat the record by, like, 3 hours. It's 17-something.
Insane.
Whereas, like, the winning record time was 20 hours the year prior. So, like, to beat it, just not by, like, you know, a couple minutes or whatever.
That is.
I mean, 17 hours. It's like a
crazy.
20-something average pace. Like, we had a 16 average pace, which is still pretty fast, like, with all our breaks and stuff.
And is it different in the sense where there's not a ton of aid stations all around with food, or you guys?
Yeah, dude, I really fucked up. We they give you like you write them all down. You have like you get mile 96, there's a gas station, mile 155, there's this, and there's a water hole here. And like we're getting here, and it's like getting dark, and we just passed one gas station. We didn't have another one for like another 50 miles or 60 miles.
No.
And I was just like, I'm like looking at all our stuff. I'm feeling my pack. And I was like, should we turn around? We're not even like 4 miles. Like we just turn around and get there. Not even 4 miles, like maybe 2. But to me, I was far enough from like, I ain't going backwards. There ain't no fucking way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got enough. I mean, you count your bottles and you count your calories. And I'm looking, I'm like, this is 1 hour. This is 2 hours. Theoretically, like, you can get 60 miles. That's roughly 3.5 hours, right? So I'm like counting all my food and stuff. Like this is gonna get me here, here, and here. I was like, fuck it, we'll make it. But it was brutal. Dude, it was brutal. It was like those were some of the toughest sections to do that, and we did that twice. And and they're like, I remember they said something to me like. Yeah, you want to skip the station or the gas station? I was like, fuck you. I was like, I didn't know. I don't know. But yeah, it hurt. And then like there was like one watering hole and it said like mile, I don't know, 150 or something, but it wasn't until like 156. So we get to 150 and then we're just like already like looking for it and mad.
Yeah.
And so for 6 miles, we're just like, those motherfuckers said it was gonna be there. It's not there. And we're all like, maybe just me. This could have been just me.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, where is it? I'm gonna die out here. I'm about to go knock on someone's door out in the middle of whatever, you know? Yeah. So I get a little
crazy.
Next level. All I know is that if finishing that race, what a nice meal would feel like.
We had Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's. That's what you went
never,
with.
never tasted better. I'm not kidding. It was so fucking good. Still freaky fast, whatever their tagline was. I don't remember. It used to be that. They're still on top of their game, but like that was what I ate, and it never. I was like, man, why do we got these in Sac?
We do.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. But
Yeah.
Jimmy John's
Yeah.
still hits, man, just as good as I remember when I was young. So
Oh man.
That's awesome. Well, brother, we appreciate you coming in. It's been amazing just getting to hear your story.
thank you.
Hopefully, I'll get to see you on the trail. And man, it's been amazing, bro.
Thank you for
Awesome.
being in the lounge,
you.
big dog.
Yeah, I
Appreciate you,
appreciate it.
man.
Thank you.
All right, we out.